And what I've learned is just like, when you're down, just, reset. Like, I know once I hit the gym, then everything starts to like make sense again. My body and my mind just starts to merge together into one, and everything starts to like, to calm down. Everybody has to go through those, man. And what I say is just don't make any harsh decisions while you're down. Just wait, and then, make a good decision where everything's stable.
Hello, my name is Aaron Wexler, and welcome to another episode of Within the Game. Within the Game is all about sharing inspiration, right? That's what it's all about. It's staying inspired, it's sharing other people's inspiration, and it's hopefully being inspired to keep going on this path of life, right? Of sports, of entrepreneurship, and just helping each other out, right? And that's what it's all about. And thank you to the listeners and fans. If you'd like to support the show, a great way to do that is to grab a copy of my book, The Inspired Athlete, which again is all about sharing inspiration and tapping into the inspired athlete inside of you, which I believe is within everybody. Please do all the things, the likes, the subscribes, all that stuff. It really does help the show. And please support my guests. And today's guest is the one and only Dr. Juan Salinas. Dr. Juan, thanks so much for being here.
Hey, what's up, Aaron? How you doing, man?
Doing great, man. Doing great.
Hey,
Dr. Juan is a sports.
Copy of that book, my brother.
Yeah, I'll send you one.
I get the book.
I'll send you a signed copy, man. Dr. Juan is a sports nutritionist with a Ph.D. from Rutgers in food science, with over 25 years in the food and snack space, having worked for companies like Kraft, Nabisco, and Nestle. He's a former competitive natural bodybuilder, as well as a former member of the Honduran national swim team. Let's go. He's the owner and CEO of Perfect Life Nutrition, a company that created Pnuff Crunch, a plant-based, nutritious, crunchy peanut puff snack. In 2020, Dr. Juan appeared on Shark Tank, my favorite show, and got a deal with Mark Cuban for Pnuff Crunch. His IG is at Pnuff Crunch and website is pnuff.com. Dr. Juan, I appreciate you so much. And the number one question I always start all these episodes with is this idea of inspired living. What does that mean to you?
I'm sure there's a lot of question. A lot of people. It really got me thinking a lot about it. When I knew you were going to interview me and you told me, okay, this is all about inspiration. I was like, oh man, what does inspiration means to me, right? And where do I get it from? And it all I think goes down to something a lot bigger than I am, and that's the inspiration. So I'm always, I'm always think that I was given certain talents, and it's my job to figure it out, to figure out what they are. So I need to discover what they are, and then I need to use them. I've always believed that, and I believe that by doing that, I'm making my creator happy. And that really is my inspiration. So my inspiration is a personal challenge that I have that is about discovering, these talents that I have, and then using them to the point where like I'm maximizing, that talent. So for instance, I discovered that since I was a little kid, man, I used to love playing with ants. I used to love like searching for little things, and it was all about discovery for me. And I still do that today. The fact that I went into food science and created my own product now, it was all about that. It was about discovering something new. It was about, the challenge of creating something that wasn't out there. And that was what kept me going, until this point. And the same thing with sports. You mentioned that I've done a little bit of sports back in Honduras and swimming, and now, I did some bodybuilding, and it was about the same thing. It's like, okay, I feel like after I started working out, I have the body to develop muscle. It's like, okay, how far can I get it? And I started just by having fun in the gym. Then it's like, maybe I should enter a competition. And then it's like, oh, maybe I should become pro, and I just like take it higher until, then you switch to something else. So that I think that's part of my inspiration, just utilizing those talents and just trying to make my creator happy.
Man, I absolutely love that, and I respect that so much. And thank you for sharing that. And a big part of my audience is athletes and entrepreneurs, right? So I gotta give you a follow-up question to this idea of inspired living, which is like, what makes an athlete an inspired athlete, and what makes an entrepreneur an inspired entrepreneur?
Yeah, for me, they kind of merge together, which is kind of cool. You
Yeah.
know, as you know, the product that I made is a product that I developed with the thinking of the athlete. You know, so I did a lot of work with athletes in my, before I started my company. I used to work with other companies that were into performance nutrition, and I was actually developing snacks and products to help improve performance on athletes. And I'm talking about like elite athletes. And so I had learned a lot about what your body requirements are, and I learned a lot about nutrition, for your body. And so, when I was starting to think about creating a new product and my entrepreneurship, mind, that's where you went, of course, right? I had to go into something that I was like passionate about, which was like working with athletes, talking about like how food affects your body. And I was like, oh, okay, so what if I create a product that actually does good to your body, especially if you're an active person, not necessarily an athlete, because I wanted to get away just from specifically targeting athletes. I wanted to kind of, cover everybody. And to some point, we're all active, right? So it's like, what can I develop that has the nutrients that everybody that is somewhat active, needs and requires? And that's kind of like where my entrepreneurship and my love for sports and exercise just kind of came and blended together, which I'm the luckiest person in the world to be able to do that. It's like two of my things, my talents and my passions just merging together. I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, man. And you can just like feel that energy radiating from you. Like even when I met you at Expo West, like I was like, I knew who you were right away. And I was like, oh, he was on Shark Tank. But like your energy is just joyful and happy. And I think that's part of being an inspired, entrepreneur or athlete, because you know what lights you up. You're following your passion and your joy, and you're living it, and so I just want to say, like, that's so cool, right? Because there's so many of us, myself included, right? Like there's so many days where I'm just like, I feel like defeated, or I feel down, or I feel uninspired, and I feel like, oh man, this is too much, right? Because being an athlete and an entrepreneur can be overwhelming,
Yeah,
but when you find that joy and you find that passion or the inspiration, which is what we're talking about, how do you hold on to it, right? How do you
yeah,
push through those down days? Like that, actually, that's a question for you. Like, how do
yeah.
you hold on to that joy?
I was gonna say, dude, I'm so glad that we're having this conversation today and not yesterday, because yesterday was a very low day for me, and it's one of those days where you're just like, oh man, like, how do I get inspired? Like, what do
Yeah.
I do? And really, and I'm sure that happens to everybody, right? Everybody goes through these cycles of ups and downs as an entrepreneur. And what I've learned is just like, when you're down, just, reset. Like I was like, I usually leave work at 7. I was like, no, I'm leaving at 5. I'm not gonna spend 2 more hours here just like going crazy, being myself, and I'm gonna go to the gym, you know. And I know once I hit the gym, then everything starts to like make sense again, My body and my mind just starts to merge together into one, and everything starts to like, to calm down. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what I did, man. Went to sleep, got up this morning, and I was just like, yes, I'm ready.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
everybody has to go through those, man. And what I say is just don't make any harsh decisions while you're down. Just wait, and then, make a good decision where everything's stable.
I like that. I like that a lot. Let's get into the product, man. You sent me this product. I kind of wish I had it to show on camera right now, but I ate it all, man. And
I
for the
have,
audience,
I don't
oh,
know if
there you
you can
go.
see it.
Yeah.
This is one of our flavors, one of the new flavors. It's the
Yeah.
cheddar jalapeno, which is our second best selling, man. Our
That's a
first,
really good one. Yeah, I
yeah,
like the original, and I just want to explain to the audience my taste test on it, right? Yeah, you sent me that. It
yeah.
was really good. Um, it's kind of like imagine like a nutritious Cheeto. you know, and it's got this awesome crunch. It's like I love how you made it not so sweet, right? Because when you taste something really sweet, it can be a little overwhelming, especially for like a healthy snack, which this is. And I think you would even call it a nutritious snack, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Nutritious
talk
snack.
a little bit about the actual product, which is delicious. I will be ordering more. And talk about, yeah, talk about like the idea of a nutritious snack versus a healthy snack.
Yeah, no, so exactly right. And that's one of the things when I first started the company, I was like, I want to start this new area of snacking, and I'm
Yeah.
going to call it nutritious snacking. And I don't know if I'm the inventor of the nutritious snacking. Maybe there was other, products that fit into that category. But, I felt like, okay, I know that there's healthy products, healthy snacks. And what I define those as are those products that are made with natural ingredients. Maybe there's nothing artificial, they're devoid of certain things. That is healthy, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's nutritious, right? Nutritious means that it's got to have the right, nutrients in there that will nourish your body, right? So for us, that are active people, that's how I started. It's like, all right, what can I create as a snack? Because I know we're all snacking. What can I create, that kind of will nourish my body while I'm snacking and not just, you know, filling myself with empty carbs or fat or salt, a bunch of sugar, which is what you normally find on a vending machine, right? Potato chips, pretzels. I mean, this is all basically products that have, just not very nutritious, empty calories. And that was my challenge. And so the first thing was like, all right, what kind of ingredients can I put into a product that will kind of cover everything? So I wanted to have complete protein. I wanted to be plant-based thing, but because it's plant-based, the protein has to be complete. It's got to have all the amino acids required, especially if you're active, to build muscle and to keep you active and going. So that was one requirement. The other one was like, okay, the carbs, right? It can't be all sugar, which is just simple sugar that is going to turn into glucose right away and just give you the spikes and then into fat. We know the whole story about, high sugar. So I'm like, it's gotta have a level of carbohydrates that will give you energy, more sustained energy rather than the spikes of energy. And the other thing was like satiety, right? Like if it's a snack. So it's a snack, it's a meal bridge, So you want to use it as something between meals and it had to satisfy. You had to feel like, okay, I just had my snack. Now I feel good. I can wait another 3 hours before I hit my dinner or whatever. And so for that, fiber was important. It's got to have the right amount of fiber. So man, I was going like, all right, like there's so many ingredients, so many cool things. Oh, and the most important thing, right? It's got to taste good.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
tastes good. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's got like the best nutrition in it. People will try it once because of it, but then they won't come back again if it doesn't taste good. So my challenge was to come up with ingredients that will provide all those nutrients and at the same time taste good. And so I started with peanuts, was kind of like my first ingredient. And obviously we all know how tasteful peanuts are and peanut butter. And now it's like, okay, how do I surround that with other ingredients that complement that not only a nutrition point of view, but also from a flavor perspective.
Yeah.
And that's how I arrived with like rice and beans, and peanuts. And that combination gave me the complete protein. It gave me the fiber that we wanted. It gave me the low glycemic index carbohydrates. And we had a product after that. I just
I love
simplified
it.
because it took like a year to develop.
Right.
But simplistically speaking, that's kind of how it went.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I wanted you to take an opportunity to explain to the audience a little bit more in depth on the complete protein and just like carry on your knowledge of protein in general, right? Because there's so many different approaches to how much protein do we need and when do we need it and all that stuff. So yeah, talk about protein.
Yeah, man. So protein is one of my favorite subjects. And I've worked with so many athletes on protein. Obviously, protein is, is the building blocks for muscle building and repair. So if you go to the gym, you do need protein in order to repair the muscles that you just stressed. And you want to grow muscles, you want to get bigger or whatever, you need the protein. So protein is that ingredient that your muscle needs to feed on in order to basically grow. Now there's different types of protein. Sometimes a lot of companies just blur protein, expecting the consumer to say, okay, there's a bunch of protein here, I'm good. What a lot of people are not aware of is that there's different types of protein. And not only do we have animal protein versus plant protein, but we also have different levels of different quality of protein within the two areas. And what you want to give your body is the best quality of protein, meaning by quality I mean that it has to have all the elements that your body requires in order to build muscle. And in the case of protein, that's amino acids, right? So the amino acids build a protein. So proteins are built of amino acids. It's the whole chain of amino acids. And in your body, once it enters your body breaks down the protein into a single amino acid. So whether you have an animal protein or a plant protein, your body's going to break it down into its individual amino acids. Now, the question is, which amino acids are in that proteins, in those two different proteins? And there's a certain amino acid, there's 20 amino acids that your body requires, and some of them are not even obtained by food, by your body. Your body can make them up, so you have to get them through food. And they are called essential amino acids. And those are the amino acids that you want to make sure that the protein that you're eating in your product has them. And that it has them at the right amounts too, and that they're digestible too, because it could be there, but not being digestible. And therefore you're not really utilizing all of it. It might go through and eventually you get rid of it. So quantity is important, quality is important, being complete is important, because that way you ensure that it has all the essential amino acids that your body requires. And timing is important, as you know. I always tell people that snacks are great because you want to feed your body with protein all day long. That's the reality. So, there's plenty of studies that are already proven that the best way that your body is always starving for protein after exercise. And so it's not just that window that we always heard about, the little window, 30 minutes after your workout. It's through the whole 24 hours after. And your body wants to assimilate protein and use that to recover and to grow. And if you're not feeding protein to it, basically, in a way, you're kind of wasting that effort that you put in your exercise. So that's when snacks come in as important, because you can have a snack, every 3 hours between your meals, and you're putting some protein into it, and therefore, you're not wasting, any of that effort that you put in doing exercise or sport.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for being a fan of the show. I really appreciate your support. And if you'd like to further support the podcast, please grab a copy of my book, The Inspired Athlete. The Inspired Athlete is all about my personal growth journey, my athletic journey, my spiritual journey, all combined into one. And really the idea is that the energy of the inspired athlete is within us all, and it's up to us to evoke that. And whether you consider yourself an athlete or a competitor or not, it's my belief that the energy of the inspired athlete is within us. Even if you just decide to take a deep breath and just move your body, that's the inspired athlete. So it would mean a lot if you could help support the book project as well as the podcast by grabbing a copy. Links to the Amazon paperback version as well as the Audible audiobook version are listed below in the description. Thank you very much for your support. Stay inspired, y'all. Yeah, man. I think it's one of the number one things that's missing in a lot of athletes' journeys, right? And just everyone, we all have to, we all have to think of food all day long, basically, right? What are we going to eat today? right? When am I going to eat? How is it going to best, maximize my performance, my potential, And so these are thoughts that we always have. And so that's why I think your product is so smart, because you're offering a choice to say, hey, like, get a little complete protein in you, while you're going throughout your day, while you're prepping your next meal,
Sure.
and when I think of the inspired athlete again is this energy inside all of us that's constantly looking for the best choice, right? That's what I think the inspired athlete is doing. It's like, where should we go this way? Should I go that way? Should I eat this? Should I not eat that? Right. And so knowing that, if I'm hungry, if I need a snack, this would be a good choice to go to rather than some of those other things that you mentioned.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Like when you find a product that is nutritious like this, you don't have to think about, like you say, constantly think about what should I eat, if you could have one product that's got everything you need right there, boom, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Now, when you have your next meal, that's when you want to make sure that you have whatever your macros that you're looking for.
Yeah.
But it's a bridge, man. To me, I tell people it's not a meal replacement. You can go and
Right.
find 30-gram protein bars that claim
Right.
to be, meal replacements and all that stuff. This is a snack,
Yeah.
it's just to get you through, that half point between your meals.
Yeah, I find that it's great to have in the car, as well as a backpack, right? So like when you're cruising around, you can just you're not constantly worried about like you saying the macros, like, oh, what am I supposed to be? No, I can just grab a little snack, get a little protein real quick, right? That's why I like it. I want to talk about your Shark Tank story, but before we do, I want to also mention that we, like as in me and you, and we are aware that there could be a peanut allergy, right? That a lot of people have. I would like you to share how, because I'm inspired by the way that you created your own facility about that. So I would like you to share that story because you're aware of this allergy, right? This allergen that could affect a lot of people. Yeah, so that's kind of I chopped up that question, but basically what I'm saying is share your inspiration to create your own facility because of that allergen.
Yeah, no, man. And that was, I get that question a lot because
Yeah.
one of the rules, of entrepreneurship and coming out with a new innovation is like, well, make sure you can make it.
Yeah.
If you're gonna create it, make sure you can make it. And that was one of the things. As a food scientist and having been in the industry for over 25 years, I knew about the challenges that I will encounter with using peanuts. And the challenge, obviously, is that a lot of people, or actually, it's not a lot of people, to be honest with you. There's more people that are allergic to milk than to peanuts, but the severity of the allergy is higher on peanuts, and that's why it gets the most attention. All right.
Got you.
And the thing is that here in this country, United States, the incidence is higher than any other country. And I'm from Honduras. We never heard about peanut allergens back when I was home. I mean, we never even talked about it. I didn't even hear about this until I got into the United States.
I wonder
Um,
if that's sorry to interrupt. I wonder if that's because we tend to eat overly processed foods, even peanuts.
Similar, not exactly, but the studies show that the reason is because the guidance for new moms, to feed their babies is not to give them peanuts until they're like 5 years old.
Mm,
So what happens is that by that time, the baby's bodies are already developed, the immune system has already developed, and you never expose them to these allergen, and so your body will react, adversely to it. When they did a study so there was a study done in Israel with Jewish kids, and they had families that were first generation here in the US and families in Israel, and they kind of follow their life, and they noticed that the families here in the US were starting to develop peanut allergies, while the families in Israel, the incidence of peanut allergies was extremely low. And they were like, wait, what's going on in the United States that is causing people to have allergies? And it kind of came down to what I just explained before. In Israel, there's a product out there that has peanut in it that is very like famous. I mean, it's a very popular product to give to kids. And so they give their kids when they're babies, they're starting with this product and peanut. So they get exposed to peanut since they're like a very early age. While in the United States, they were waiting until 5 years old. And that's the difference. So now the government has realized this and they've changed. Now the guidance is different. Now it's, I believe 6 months old is when they're recommending that you should start feeding your kids with peanuts. Obviously under, guidance, under, watch, just make sure that there's not an adverse reaction to it. But that's how we're hoping that the incidence of allergies here in the US will come down. Now, to your question, because it's a long answer, man, I'm sorry.
No,
Just
it's
went
okay.
off on that.
Yeah.
But, the challenge for me was like, the biggest challenge was to find a facility that could actually handle peanuts. Because, if you remember, even 7 years ago, there was a huge like trend of allergen-free everything. Everything was allergen-free. So companies were going in that direction. And so all the co-manufacturers were starting to produce products that were allergen-free. So now here I come, all happy with this product and full of peanuts. And they were like, whoa, yo, now don't even come close to me, man. It's like, have you been around peanuts? I don't want to see you, And that was the biggest challenge for me because even though some of these companies that I found, they were like, yeah, I think we can make it. And then they realized after we started production, oh man, I'm sorry, we cannot. We can't isolate this peanut powder and everything else that we're using. So, I will get kicked out. And that happened like 2 times until the third time. I was like, no way, man, I'm not gonna go through that again. And it's like, what do we do? Should I just close shop, change my formula completely so it doesn't have peanuts, which is kind of like the base of the whole concept, or buy my own equipment? And obviously I bought my own equipment. As crazy as that sounds, and everybody told me you're crazy, but yeah, here I am. I'm actually sitting in my facility here. It's it's a small facility, but I got my equipment out there. We do all the production ourselves. And now, funny enough, because there isn't enough manufacturers that can handle peanuts, now I'm getting an influx of like questions. Hey, dude, can you do a product for me? That I put peanuts in it. So it's kind of opened up some other businesses for us too at the same time. So.
Thank you to new sponsor of the show, Stretch Life, located in Manhattan Beach, California. Stretch Life offers assisted stretching for anyone who wants to enhance their flexibility practice. And if you're like me, muscle tightness is something I deal with on a daily basis, whether I'm in the gym training or out on the beach playing beach volleyball or even sitting here doing this podcast. It's a challenge to make time for the daily stretch routine. And so I've been working with Amir over the last couple months over at Stretch Life, and I can tell a big difference in the way I feel. I have more range of motion, I have more energy, more muscle control, and just overall less pain. Stretch Life is offering Within the Game listeners 50% off your first session. Just mention Within the Game when you book online or when you call in for the discount. And also, if you do not have access to the Stretch Life studio, but you still want to learn more about how to enhance your flexibility practice, Amir is offering a free 20-minute phone call where he can share specific stretches and other specific tools that can help you. So visit stretchlife.com, that's Stretch Life spelled with a Y, to book your first session, and hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Yeah, no, that's so cool, man. That's why that's inspiring, right? You see a problem or even an opportunity, right? We like that word as entrepreneurs, right? Opportunity, and you filled it. And I think that's so cool. And now you're going to get more opportunities because of that. And you took that leap of faith. And so that's super inspiring, man. So I gotta ask you about Shark Tank, right? It's my favorite show. Your episode has more than 4 million views. I'll link it here for anyone who hasn't seen it. But I would like you to just share briefly a little bit about that experience, how you got booked to be on the show, the thought process behind coming out and taking your shirt off and flexing on everyone, and just like the whole experience of getting a deal with Mark Cuban.
Yeah, Shark Tank was a blessing, man. It was a blessing because it came into 2020. That was the COVID year.
Right,
So
right.
we were making maybe we were doing about 80% of our business was just all retail. And so you can imagine everything started to close and all of a sudden it went to like nothing. We were like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? And it's like we had to focus on e-commerce, right? We had to go online and try to sell online. But we were just starting online and it started to look pretty bad. And then I get the call from Shark Tank. I believe we applied like maybe a couple of years before, and I just kind of let it go. I forgot about it. It's like, you do your thing and then you wait, right? And see what they say. And funny enough, man, they call me and they're just like, hey, you'd be interested in coming and, kind of trying out for the show. And I'm like, oh, it's like, this is a joke, And turned out to be real. I was like, hell yeah, let's do this. And, and then the process of getting into Shark Tank it's a lengthy process. I mean, there's a lot of documents that you have to do first. And then there's also a lot of preparation. They want to make sure that you're someone that it's also going to be entertaining, right? It's an entertainment show. So you got to be entertaining. And at the same time, you got to be selling, a decent product to the investors, right? It's got to be a real product and it's got to be something that they will be interested on. So you can see there's two different objectives there. One is to be entertaining so you could be on TV, and the other one is to see if you can get a deal. So there was a lot of preparation for that. One of the ideas we had as we talked with the producers is like, well, they're like, yeah, we noticed that you're a bodybuilder, and it's like, are you still doing that? It's like, well, I'm not competing right now, but it's like, but you think you can get in shape? I was like, yeah, I could do it. I was like, we have an idea. It's like, I don't know. It's like, it's up to you, it's all your decision. But it's like, what if you went in on the show and kind of like show your body? I was like, all right, let's work with that. How can we make that fun? And not creepy. And so we came out with this idea about Dr. Juan, and coming up with a lab coat, and kind of surprising these sharks as to, hey, man, I'm not just a scientist, but I'm also, as a competitive bodybuilder. So that's kind of how it went. And, luckily it went good. And, by divine intervention, actually, Mark Cuban wife had already bought the product, and that was like so random to be honest with you, because we weren't really highly distributed in Texas, which is where he lives. So the chances of her finding our product in Texas are very slim. And he tells the story how he went home one night and he saw the product and he started eating it and he finished the whole bag. The next morning, his wife was like all pissed off, right? It's like, where's my bag of peanut? So he was all excited when he saw it, because what I'm being told is that they don't know anything about any of the brands that are coming in. So he had no idea that, peanut was coming in and present. And so for him, it was a surprise, but he knew about the product already. So
Yeah.
I was already, one leg up. And then, obviously he made me an offer, and he, I saw him backstage and he's like, wait until I tell my wife.
It's great, man. It's
Got me
so
so
great.
excited. Yeah. So, and we're still partners, man. It's been a good partnership. We're work together and we're still trying to figure out how to get the best out of them.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
He's
Um,
integrity.
yeah, no, I have a section on him. Let's come back to him, but I gotta ask you a few more questions about Shark Tank, right? Because for any entrepreneurs listening to this, right, getting on Shark Tank it's almost like the pinnacle of like your entrepreneur journey. I know there's more, right? You can create success, that would be a better pinnacle. But like from an idea standpoint to an execution standpoint, to be standing on that stage with all the lights on you, with the cameras on you in front of multi-millionaires or billionaires like Mark Cuban, like that's just so cool. You got to celebrate that, right? And so what I would like you to do is just talk a little bit more about about that process, the backstage stuff. Like, how does it happen when you come out on stage? Is there like a script that you follow? Are you all off the cuff? Can you make an error? Talk a little bit more about this experience on being on that show, because it changed
Yeah.
your life, you know?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's definitely life changing. And like I said, I was just so grateful to have been, selected to be one of the people to go there. I'm not different than you or anybody else listening, really. I'm really a nobody, but it's about being there. It's almost like you say, you gotta play to win. If you don't play, the only thing that you can guarantee is that you're not gonna win. So it's being there and trying and trying and trying. We try so many things, and some
Okay.
things hit, some don't. With Shark Tank, it was just a blessing, and it's a process, right? So you got to meet with the producers. The producers are checking you out. So we did a lot of like Zoom and like kind of like being on camera kind of interviews with them, and they were looking at you like they're trying to figure you out. It's like, is this guy like someone that we think could be good for TV? Really, that's what they're trying to figure it out. And then they're if they feel like, okay, this guy's got potential, then it's like, is he coachable? You know what I mean? Because at some point you're going to be standing in front of these sharks, and are you one of those people that's just going to freeze, or it's going to start to like like panic,
Right.
or just not be able to deliver, so
Right.
you know they want to make sure that you do well. So we go through these different sort of like trials in a way, where I will stand in front of the camera in front of them, and I will sort of deliver a pitch to them. And so they kind of help you a little bit. It's like, hey, yeah, everything was great, but like we want to see a little more smile, or make sure you always look to their eyes.
Hmm.
Or another tip that, I mean, the biggest tip that I got from it is like, always, no matter what, always smile and when you talk. I was like, oh, like, how do you do that? Talking and smiling is not easy, and
Right.
it kind of took a little bit of practice for me to do that. And now I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it. But but they say that, because it kind of grabs the attention of the viewer. So then, in my case, I didn't go to LA, which is usually where these things are filmed. Because of COVID, LA was closed. So we went to Las Vegas, and they had the whole set, put in, kind of replicated in Las Vegas. And I had to stay in a room for, I think it was 10 days, inside a room for 10 days with not, which it was almost like jail. I couldn't get out of the door, right?
Wow.
Now they tell you can go there, but if we find you, you know, you will be disqualified because of the whole COVID thing that I was
Got
going.
it.
That's why, they didn't want you to get infected with COVID and then go on stage and get the sharks infested, etc. So um, it was actually, I was actually happy to be in that position, because even though it sucked just to be inside one room for 10 days, it gave me time to reflect. It gave me time to practice. It gave me time to learn more about my own business, and kind of, learn some of the things that I had to work on in order to get better on camera.
Yeah.
So it gave me that time to do that. When the time came, man, it was just, I don't know. I had a song, that I used to listen to. It's by Iron Maiden, and it was kind of inspiring to me. And I used to put that every morning when I was taking a shower,
What
and
song? What song?
it would pump me up, man. It's called man, what's the name of it? It's about a great God.
Okay.
Has a son, and and basically he grabs wings, but he sticks them with with wax, and as he's going to the sun hits it and starts to melt out. But but the song talks about being able to like have these wings and just like fly away towards the sun, and that's why I kept thinking in my head, yeah, I'm growing wings and I'm flying to that sun, and that's why I keep thinking about it. And so that morning of the show that I was supposed to meet to pitch the investors, I had that song going on, and then they knock at the door. It's like, man, I'm ready. I went in the back, and I'm like, all right, let's do this. And then they just had me sit down in this big room for like 6 or 7 hours, man. I was like, oh, oh, this sucks, right? So, it was more waiting and waiting and waiting until they're like, all right, you're on. Now, one of the things that I learned after that, which would have made me even more nervous, is that if they run out of time, you're shit out of luck. You know what I mean? Like if you're supposed to go on a Monday and one of the sharks didn't feel well, or they were too tired, or it was taking, some of the other pitches went long, and your time comes and they're like too tired for it. They're like, no, we're not seeing anybody anymore, and you're done. Go home.
Wow.
So it's lucky again enough to be able to, pitch. And I was standing behind that curtain, you seen that they open up like those two doors,
Yeah.
and they play that little song. Dun, 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 dun. So I'm standing behind it. It's like, yeah, you're ready, right? I was like, yeah, they have the girls in the back, like they kind of do your hair and your makeup, and they're spraying some like because they knew I was gonna take my jacket off, they were spraying like some like shiny stuff in it, to make it look more better, I guess, on stage. And I'm standing behind those two doors, man, and the guy, they're not opening him. And I'm like, it's fine, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And then there's the one, I guess, stage manager or whatever, he's standing right next to me. And he noticed that I was just like, dude, what's up? And so he started talking to me about the Giants, about trying to get my mind off of it, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Because it did. And then he's like, all right, man, now we're ready. I was like, all right. Once the doors open, it's game time, man. They do not stop filming, and they tell you that it's like once that is open, whatever you do, we're filming it. So I'm like, all right, man, I gotta make sure I don't trip as I walk. And then there's an X right there. You're supposed to stand on it, but they're telling you, it's like, listen, whatever you do not look at the X. Do not look at the X, because on TV it looks like you're looking down to something, but they want you to be in the right position. So I'm walking, looking forward and trying to, have that, you know, bipedal vision, that is like looking down here somewhere, looking for an X. Luckily enough, I was close enough to the X. And then they kind of stop. You just, you know, kind of look around, and you're looking at all the sharks in front of you. And then they take a pause for about, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. And then if I wasn't right on the spot, they kind of help me. They basically tell me, yeah, take one step up or to the side, so that I'm in the middle. And then they start kind of like changing, their cameras and angles, I guess, or whatever, right? And then they give you the go again. And then the go is when you start, kind of giving your pitch. And that's how we did it, man. I get the pitch halfway through it. If you see the episode, it was a shit show. And one thing, man, that happened that you don't see, because a lot of people was like, man, your pitch was perfect. Obviously, I don't think it was. I can find a million of, mistakes that I made, because I know what I wanted, and maybe 80% of it was not what I wanted. But it kind of came out okay for someone that doesn't, if you don't know anything about it, you just think, okay, he did a good job. But what most people know is halfway through it, once I took my coat off, right? And I'm like flexing, like everybody's laughing, everybody's talking, making comments. And this went on for like, I don't know, man, 3 minutes. And so after everybody's just started to calm down, then it's like, all right, proceed. I'm halfway in my pitch. So it's like, proceed. And I'm like, dude, I have no idea where I was. I was already like, like I had my pitch down pat, man. Like you took me off, and you derailed me, and now like you want me to come back? Like, so Mark, man, being the nice guy that he is, he's like, all right, this the last thing you said was this. He remembered, man. That guy has
That's
got a,
cool. Yeah.
he's got a, I mean, like his vision is just, cinematic, man.
Yeah.
He basically just told me, like, listen, this is where you were. This is exactly what you said before. And I was like, oh, okay. And I got going again. So when they did the cut on TV, it looks like I just went through it
Got
flawlessly.
it.
But now, man, I was like starting to sweat. It was like, oh shit, I remember what the hell was I? So yeah, man, that was kind of the experience.
So
And then,
cool.
it was fun, man.
That's so cool, man. The magic of editing. But no, I really appreciate you sharing that because, as viewers, right, as fans of the show, like we don't get to hear all that stuff. We like can imagine it, but I appreciate you sharing that. A lot of things that a lot of topics that I like to explore on this podcast is values that we have as athletes and entrepreneurs. And one of the values that I thought of when I knew that you were going to come on the show was this idea of confidence, right? And like, you had to have had it to be able to flex like that, take your shirt off, and like, and handle all that laughter and handle the pauses of your presentation. So I was hoping you could just share a little bit of how you create your own confidence for yourself, and then tips for other people for confidence building.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, to me, I think the confidence came a lot with practice,
Yeah.
in terms of taking my shirt off, in terms of in front of public. you know, uh, Little things happen during your life that you don't know how they're going to affect you later in life. And the fact that I started by swimming, by being in little trunks in front of tons of people in competition, I
Yeah.
mean, that has something to do with it. I'm not an exhibitionist, man. I
Mhm.
hate being around. Like, I'm not one of those guys that are always like with the shirts off or anything. But I felt comfortable just being in my trunks, right?
Yeah.
And then later on, I started doing more bodybuilding competitions. And the first time I did one, obviously I was scared, like kind of show my body in front of like people and they're judging you. So that kind of took that experience I think helped me too,
Yeah.
before I went on my, to show myself in front of the sharks and the world, right? I already kind of had that practice and that gave me confidence.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool.
yeah, and the fact that I've also done dieting before to do bodybuilding shows, I knew that I could do, you know, they gave me 30, I had 30 days to get like in really good shape for the show. And I was like, I know I can do it in 30 days. I've done it before. So again, that's part of confidence building.
Right.
Instead of delivering the pitch, man, I never really, I'm not a professional, person that does speeches or someone that speaks in public. I'm not a public speaker. So I didn't have that in me. But like I said, man, there's always something there. There's a trust that I have, I think, with my creator, man, that he's gonna pull me through. That as long as I give everything that I have and I can't, that the rest he's gonna put it. He's gonna put
Yeah,
it.
man.
And I've lived my life by that motto, man, all my life. And it's always come true. The
Yeah.
big guy always come through, man. So I think that gives me confidence too, to know that, whatever happens, it's gonna be all right.
Totally. Man, I love that perspective. And obviously you had confidence negotiating with Mark Cuban too. I would let's talk about Mark Cuban because he's my favorite shark, not just because of the sports background that he has, but he's so astute. He's so smart. I love how he waits, he listens, he's a great listener and he waits for the right time. But then you guys got into a little bit of a negotiation. So what ended up happening for the audience, if you didn't see it, again, I'll link the video, is that he didn't really budge on equity, and you kind of tried to negotiate him down, but then he added another 100 grand, which was like a big deal because he doesn't really do that. And even Kevin was like, hey, I've done this for 10 years with Mark. He never offers this kind of money. You should take that deal. So talk a little bit about the negotiation and like any tips for anyone listening who wants to be an entrepreneur or who is an entrepreneur and wants to be a better negotiator.
Yeah. No, I mean, to me, again, it's the same thing in preparation, right? Talk about
Yeah.
confidence on negotiating. You got to prepare. So I had already done my every possible scenario that could have gone on.
Mm,
Like equities, share, like, how much I could give, how much, I will take. What if two sharks went in? What if three sharks went in? What kind of split would I accept? And
cool.
what if Mr. Wonderful, etc. And also people like who would be the one that I want to go to, that I would prefer to be my investor. And depending on that, I started thinking about different ways of making a deal, right?
Interesting.
Like I would have taken a lower deal from Mark than I would from like Mr. Wonderful, for instance. In my head, I was thinking that.
Because
So
of his plant-based portfolio, basically, right?
exactly. I thought it was a much better fit.
Yeah.
So I would have probably not taken, much of a negotiation. I would probably would have been giving up as much, let's say, to Mr. Wonderful versus, versus Mark.
Got it.
So,
Yeah.
and one of the things, I was kind of fixed too on the equity thing, but I tell you, man, the guy is smart. And the reality is that by him putting more money into it, you know, makes it more important to him. You know what I'm saying? Like if you only put like 200,000, 100,000, even for a small percentage, for a smaller percentage, what's 100,000? It's nothing. I mean, even 400 for him is nothing. But at the same time, it raises the stake for him, where he will feel like, you know what, there's more stakes here for me. I gotta be a little more involved in this one, you know.
Yeah.
So, and I think he also felt like, you know what, man, you're gonna need more than $300.
Right. Right.
At the stage you are, you probably need more. So, you know, he knows his stuff, man. He knows his stuff. And so I was pretty happy of the outcome, and just having him on your back, dude, it's just so big. Forget about the money, just having his name behind you and, kind of like listen to his advice. And he's got a great team that I work with too, and these are people that are like top, man. So just to have that, that's invaluable, you know.
It's so cool, man. Like I told you before, man, like he's my favorite shark, and just like the way he asks questions and listens and it just seems like out of all the sharks, no disrespect to the other sharks, but I just feel like he's the best one to have on your team, right? To be able to email or call and or even his team, and even pick their brain about certain things about your business, but even business in general. Do you do that at all?
Yeah, so I mean, usually, we give Mark like weekly and quarterly reports, right?
Cool. Yeah, yeah.
He comments on it, you know. Usually when there's something big, like for instance, when we first started, he wanted us to rebrand, to change, how the bag looked and even some of the messaging and stuff. So, that was clear. And so we started going back and forth, okay, what should we do here? And then we started trying things out and we were presenting it to him and he was just, approving it and saying, no, this sucks, let's
Mm.
try something else, try differently. And so, we went through the whole process, which is what made us change from the bag that you see on Shark Tank to the bag that we have today,
Yeah, cool.
um, which is more attractive, it's more attractive for retails. It tells the consumer more about what to expect. Um, so he gets involved in that and those kind of things. But, on the daily little things like, okay, let's talk about social media, like what are we gonna do and things like that. He's got a team of people
Yeah,
that are talented that we meet with them weekly, and we go over some of our ideas and they kind of help us out,
yeah,
with adding more ideas or resources, advice, and so he won't be part of those conversations, you
yeah.
know.
Right, right, right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, Dr. Juan, I know we're over time a little bit. Do you have a few more minutes?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay, cool. Because I want to ask you a little bit more generally now. about what you've learned in your entrepreneurial journey, specifically about marketing, about mission and purpose, learning, the differences between direct to consumer or in retail, just like I know that's a lot of stuff right there, but unpack any of that stuff that, stuff that you've learned and try to make it relatable to someone listening who might be along that journey.
Yeah, I mean, marketing, man, that's a tough one. You know, I feel like there's no one formula. There's no one formula. What has worked maybe for a certain company might not work for you. I think a lot of it is trial and error, and then that's what we've been going through, man. Right now, it's like we've tried everything that you can ever imagine in the books. The only thing that I don't think we've done is a billboard. I
Hmm.
haven't tried a billboard, man, which I should.
Hmm.
I think I've seen a couple of companies do well with billboards,
If you
but
do one out here in California, because we got your target market out here.
I don't know if you've seen the Eat Bro. Have you seen the Eat Bro?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's a company that makes like meals for people that go to the gym and things like that. It's
Hmm.
huge here in the Northeast, and all they did was billboards, man, with this stuff. Um, so Eat Clean Bro, it's called Eat Clean Bro.
Clean, bro. Got it.
And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's it. There's nothing
Yeah.
else. Huge, I mean, very successful marketing strategy that they did. We don't have big budgets, man. So we try to do things like try to get the best return on our investment and everything that we do, right? And what we notice is that there's almost like two targets that you're following. One is like it's the the out there target, the 6 months from now, which is like your SEO, your like social media falls into that, I believe. It's just like your brand awareness, it's something that's it's not generating money right now, but that hopefully down the road, is gonna do that. And the other thing is like, okay, that doesn't help me now, I need money now, how am I gonna generate those monies? And what we found is like the two things that work best for us, and I'm talking about online right now, is email marketing.
Hmm.
Email marketing is huge. And that goes well as well with the SMS, with text. That's probably the biggest, marketing tool to generate revenue. And the other one is subscriptions, subscriptions. So, we just had a meeting with the marketing guys. So look, everything that we do, let's try to hone in into how do we get more emails so that we can, market to more people, and how do we get more people in subscription.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those are the two things. And retail is a whole different game,
Hmm.
man.
Yeah.
Like, but I tell you, man, retail is becoming also an online play. So
Amazon.
no, I'm talking more like Instacart, you know.
Oh, okay.
So, typically retail was thought of, if you want to do marketing retail and you want to push product, you gotta go in the store,
Hmm.
do demos, right? Do whatever samplings, offer coupons, put some danglers in there, something in the floor. Everything was about the store. But what we've been finding is that a lot of people now are not even going to stores anymore, you know?
Hmm. Right.
Still buying from the store. They're still buying from Wegmans, but they're using Instacart. They're getting all the products delivered to their home.
Interesting.
So even though they're pulling product out of the shelf, so counts towards your retail sales, it's not being done by a customer literally picking the product from the shelf, but it's a buyer that they have hired to come and buy all their stuff for them and deliver it to them by online, purchase.
Yeah.
So that has become extremely more and more and more important for us to focus on than even at the store level. So things are changing, man. That's another thing about
Yeah.
about entrepreneur is you got to pivot all the time.
I
Well,
think one of the biggest changes is, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this too, is attention. Right. Speaking of social media, right? Like it's just so hard to get someone's attention now, right? Including us, right? We have so many options of where we put our attention. And so when you say social media, actually, I wanted to talk a little bit about that because social media is something relatable to everyone, right? Everyone basically uses it now, you
Yeah.
know. How do you stand out? How do you build a brand using social media and stand out and get someone's attention?
Yeah, man, we're still trying to figure it out.
Right,
We're
right.
still trying to figure it out, man. I mean, someone we were talking today, man, and one of the things that we try to follow trends, right? So
Yeah,
we look at trends and we try to replicate some of those things, like like the green background thing that's trending right now. Or, one thing that, a marketing guy just told me is like, yeah, when we're doing videos and things like that, it's like, it's good to have something else because people, like you just mentioned, like people are very distracted and they're not paying
yeah.
attention. If you have a dog, it's like, well, a cat, like just kind of like moving around and cruising by. It's like people pay more attention to it. I'm like, I
That's
don't
so
know,
funny.
maybe it's true, but it's a challenge, man. It's a
Right.
challenge to be able to get that attention, And we still haven't cracked the code, to be honest with you, man. We
Yeah.
still,
I think it's a conversation worth just having, right? Especially even with athletes, right? If you're an athlete listening to this right now, how do you get more exposure? How do you grab someone like Dr. Juan's attention and say, "Hey, Dr. Juan, I got a following, sponsor me, look what I can offer." I think a big part of this whole game. That's why I've named this podcast Within the Game, because I think everything's a game. But this particular game that we're talking about, which is marketing and growing a brand and grabbing someone's attention, right, is what is the offer, right? And I think the better that we can get as entrepreneurs of identifying this is my offer to you, here it is, check it out. I think that's a good start. But I also think that we're entering this age, we've already entered it. We started in COVID of content-based marketing, right? Like more and more people are making buying decisions based on content that they see on social media.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
I mean, the other thing, man, is something that, fundamentally we're being taught this in school and everything else, but you kind of would never really do it. Like, at least I didn't. And that's like, we tend to focus a lot too on the product, because you have
right,
been so much in the product. So everything's
right,
about the
right,
product. And reality is people don't care about the product, you know? They care about the solution. They care about what problem is this gonna solve for me? You know what I'm saying?
and
So
also how are they going to feel? A big part of it is like, how am I going to feel with this particular product, right?
exactly. So it's like in trying to sell like a fitness plan, I could talk all about the great exercises inside and all this stuff, but I'm trying to focus too much on the product. I'm like, no. So what's gonna happen? What's the end result? What is this doing for you? You know what I mean? Like Ozempic doesn't have to say much. People are searching for it because that's something, that's a solution to a problem that they need. So it's like, what is it? What is that solution that we're promising these people that they will have? And is it believable? You know what I mean? Is it a believable solution that will make it a lot easier to market to? You don't have to start pushing product to it, but people will start to, hey, I've heard about this. I want to hear more.
Right, right, right.
So
Yeah,
that,
no, that's really interesting. It's going to be a constantly evolving conversation in terms of marketing and grabbing people's attention. But I want to transition a little bit and ask you about mission and purpose because actually, what's happening, in my opinion, what I'm seeing in the marketplace is that if a company or a brand has a really strong, relatable mission and purpose, that can actually help grab the attention, even more so sometimes than the actual product. What are your thoughts on that?
yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think you're right. And I think you probably talking also about, whether it's a sustainable story that you might have,
Right.
or, how's this helping the planet? And people, tend to gravitate to things like that. Like, okay, yeah, I want to help the planet, and now
Right.
there's a way here that I could do this.
Right. Yeah.
Um, yeah, man, it's you know, I think we all have some sort of a mission, and the question is like, how do we explain that mission? How do we let
Yeah,
people know about this mission?
that's it.
And that's
That's
it.
it right there, man. How do you convey it, right? Yeah.
Exactly right, and I think that's why we stumble, and it's a learning process that, I don't think we're doing a good job at it personally here at Pnuff, not yet,
But
with
hey, I applaud you for that vulnerability right there because we all got to get better at stuff. I got to get better at conveying my message too, of this staying inspired and the inspired athlete is within you, like all that kind of stuff. But what I also respect about Pnuff is that there's an implied mission. That's what I want to say this publicly to you right now. There's an implied mission, which I don't even know if it's the mission or not, but it's implied that it's like I want when I say I, meaning you, I want everyone out there to be healthy. That's a mission. Like I want you to feel good. There's nothing better than feeling good. Nothing
right.
better. You could have all the money in the world, but if you don't feel good, what's it for? There's nothing better than feeling good. So like one of the mission or maybe one of the ideas of this product and your company is to help make people feel good,
That's
you
it,
know?
man. Actually, our thing is about help people, stay active and be active.
Active, right.
That's what we want.
Right.
So at the end of the day, that's what I want. I think before I started, this company, I started thinking about the reason exactly what every entrepreneur goes through, man. It's like, I don't think successful entrepreneurs think of, okay, what am I gonna do to make a shitload of money? You know, I think successful entrepreneurs, and I mean successful, not meaning that you're gonna make money or not, but the fact that you start something and you do it, that makes you a successful person already. And I think it has to come from something deep inside that you feel like you want to change. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Yes.
So it's like,
Yes.
whether it's, whatever that you're passionate about, you gotta have that passion. And to me, I think it's self-explanatory. I have this passion for like just health and nutrition and being active and sports, man. It's like I wish everybody was doing it. I wish everybody was, running marathons and 5Ks, and like every weekend we'll see people, roads full of bikes and not full of cars. You know what I'm saying? That's like a dream to me.
That's
So
cool, man.
this product was meant to be kind of like, okay, we're sort of like your snacking companion, to your daily active life. We're
That's
gonna be
cool.
that kind of thing. So, and that's what keeps me going, man, because it's tough out there, man. It's very
It
tough.
is tough out there. And no, but that's so cool. I'm so glad you said that because my next question for you is what's the vision? What's next? Where are we going from here with Pnuff?
Yeah. So, I mean, right now we're trying to establish this brand and trying to get more awareness on what we currently have.
Yep.
I my whole life, 25 years that I worked for these other companies you mentioned at the beginning of the show, I was a product innovator. You know,
Right.
when I talk to you about discovery and like all this stuff, that's all part of me. That's what gets me going. That's what gets my endorphins going in the morning. So I have all these ideas that I want to do. And I have to like, all right, dude, fine. Look, gotta get this going, and then we're gonna have more things that we can do. But my thought is to continue to grow this brand to be, a recognizable brand for active nutrition. People that could trust it and be like, hey, it's made by Pnuff, Perfect Life Nutrition. It's good for me, and I could trust that everything they're doing here is legit and it's science based. And it's not just some marketing scheme that they're trying
Right.
to, but there's real good stuff here that has been well thought out.
Yeah.
um that's kind of where I hope we get
Yeah.
to.
And like I shared with you before, and like because I want to see you grow. I want to see you become like uber successful. Like um, one of the other Shark Tank products, there's two that come to mind, Scrub Daddy and Bombas, that sock. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah, yeah, of
Right?
course.
Like that, like I want to see you as one of those products from Shark Tank. And I think you could get there. I really do. Um, So I have two more things for you. I know we're over time. Thank you for that. Thank you for your time. um, Advice for other entrepreneurs, Dr. Juan.
Advice.
Yeah, what could you tell other entrepreneurs who are either about to start something they haven't started yet, or they're currently in their journey and they're just trying to figure out how to keep going?
Man, I could tell you a couple of things that even Mark Cuban has told me.
Yes.
And he tells this all the time too. If you hear some of his podcasts and things, but one is like, watch your money, watch your money, man. Money is, we tend to think that with more, by spending more money, we're gonna get, we're gonna get better results from our marketing or from our retailers and all this stuff. And I'm proof that that's not the truth. That's not right. That's not always the case. And you could overspend on marketing. You can overspend on retail marketing and launches and things like that, and get zero results. You know, so it's a try and error kind of thing. I'm not saying don't go out there and try things, but watch it. Watch your money. You know what I mean? Spend it wisely, and don't think that by spending $500,000 in marketing, you're gonna become the next Nabisco or something.
Hmm.
So that's
Hmm.
one thing. The other thing he talks about is, it's the top line versus the bottom line. To him, it's all about the bottom line. It's like, I don't care how much money, how much sales you're presenting me. If your margins here are just terrible, if your profits are like negative, it's like he's not interested in it, man. He's not interested. At the end of the day, a lot of us like to think that, hey, no, well, right now, I'm losing money and it's okay, because as I grow, my manufacturing is going to become more efficient, and therefore the cost is going to come down, and therefore my profits are going to go up. And I tell you, that doesn't happen. It's not happening. It's happened. It will happen one day, hopefully. But the reality is you can't think, okay, this is going to happen tomorrow, in the next year, or the next year. It's like, no, you got to live. You got to survive the year, and you got to be thinking, hey, how am I going to make money?
Right.
How do I make money with this thing? Because again, how are we going to realize my mission is not to make money, but I have to make money in order to realize that vision, which is for everybody to be able to try my product and love it. So, I gotta make sure that I keep my head, kind of looking at both things, growing sales, but also in my profits too, what I mean? And the other thing is, aside from that, with
Yeah.
the Mark Cuban thing. My thing is more about, if you're starting, like, don't think that you could do everything yourself. I know
Mm.
entrepreneurs, man, we got to be involved with everything, that's for sure. But don't feel like, you got to be the expert of accounting and finance and, marketing and sales. But, surround yourself with a good network of people, always look out for the networking. And I think 80% or 90% of all my problems have been solved by a phone call to somebody, man. It's like, shit, what do you do here, man? Hey, bro, what's up, man? What do you do? And it's like, I'm going through this. Have you gone through it? Yeah, I did. It's like, wow, fuck, how do you solve that? Rather than try to figure it out yourself. And
Yeah.
the support system too, man. Like networking for that reason, but also support system. Because as you know, and all entrepreneurs, man, we go through a roller coaster of emotions. And sometimes it's very hard, man. Sometimes it's just like, I don't know if I could do this again,
Yeah.
or I could continue. And you need somebody solid, next to you to say, dude, come on, man, get over it. Okay, let's go. And to me, like my girlfriend, man, she's my stronghold, man. Every time like I'm defeated, she doesn't let me get defeated, man. She's like
Yeah.
the bull, it's just like, no, dude,
Yeah.
well, we'll do this. No, tomorrow, we'll solve that tomorrow. Don't worry. And so, I think that's important to have.
I think that's fantastic. And the things that I would add to that is to allow yourself to go for it, which is to get out of your own way, right? And like you said, to ask for help. There's a power in the way that you ask, right? The ask is so important, right? Asking either you could, it could be anyone asking someone for help or even asking someone for some time to just talk, right? Like that's a big part of it too, I would say. Um, Dr. Juan, I want to finish with this idea of fulfillment. What does fulfillment mean to you?
Oh, fulfillment. I mean, I feel fulfilled at the end of the day when I have, given everything I can. If I feel like I did everything I could, I feel good at the end of the night, whether I was able to accomplish something or not, whether something was positive or negative. I like to reflect at night, man. I like, I wake up every morning. My first thing I do, I go to mass, I pray, and that kind of gets me going at the beginning of the day. And then at night, before I go to sleep, I also do some reflection. And I always think about, like sometimes days are terrible, man. But I always try to find something positive on it. You know what I mean? Something positive. And I feel like, you know what, I feel good, and I think that's part of the whole fulfillment thing, like, have you done what you can? Have you done good? You know what I mean? Do you shit, where you do you do something that know you shouldn't have done, and kind of reflect on that and why you did it, and at the end of the day, you got to feel like what you're doing is for good, you know. So I think that's the best answer I could give you on that.
That's well said, bro. Well said indeed. Mic drop. Dr. Juan, this has been an absolute pleasure. I would love to have you back for round two sometime. Before we go, tell people how they can best follow you or support you and buy the product.
Yeah, so to buy the product, let's go to our website, which is pnuff.com, pnuff.com. You can follow our Pnuff Crunch, but if you want to follow me, Dr. Juan, I'm Dr. Juan Pnuff on all social medias.
Cool.
And so, yeah, please, man, any questions or anything, I'm always available, seriously, and I love to help others if I can, in any way I can.
That's awesome. I really admire that accessibility, and I would suggest that everyone listening to this or watching this, leave a comment, tell us what your biggest takeaway was from this conversation, and try the product. I'm going to leave links below, and maybe we can even come up with some discounts for our listeners. Again, Dr. Juan, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And for all the listeners and viewers, I appreciate you guys. Stay inspired, y'all. Peace and blessings.
Thank you, guys.